My name is Ian Scales, you're watching Telecom TV, and I'm joined today by Jeremy Heath, who is the Innovation Manager at SES Water, one of the UK water utilities. Jeremy, welcome.
Nice to be here, thank you.
Thanks for talking to Telecom TV. You're currently rolling out a LoRa-based water metering POC, proof of concept, which feeds back information about water usage. Could you tell us a little bit about the background to that application and what you hope to use it for?
Yes, it's something that we've been looking at for some years now. And effectively we have problems or concerns about water usage that we're trying to deal with by getting information through to consumers. So a good example would be sprinkler usage. Within our area, we're Surrey, we will see up to a 50% jump in consumption on a day just because of people using sprinklers. So the question is how do you communicate that through to consumers so they understand how much they're using? And part of that is giving them data. Part of that is giving them that information because there's very little understanding on how much water we use. You certainly know with your energy, so with your electricity and gas, you can get smart meters on those that will say, this is how much your kettle uses, this is how much your lights are using. But if I ask you how much do you use by using a sprinkler for say an hour in the afternoon, most people have no idea. If I then told you that actually you probably used as much as a family of 4 would use in a day and a half or even 2 days, in 1 hour, that's where it starts, that people suddenly start to realise. So what we're trying to do is give consumers that message that they actually understand how much water they're using. And it comes down to other things like showers as well. Everybody knows that showers use less than baths, but the latest research coming back is that teenage lads shower on average for 20 minutes. That's enough to do about 4 baths. So it's kind of getting these messages through to consumers. And how do you do that in near real time? So for us, the IoT solutions are a way of actually doing that communication in near real time.
So in a sense, the LoRa network and the POC is sort of an on-ramp for metering, isn't it? Because you get people to understand their water usage. And so, you know, it doesn't come as much of a shock when they actually start to get metered for water usage.
It is. About 50% of our customers are metered at the moment. What we see with giving smart metering is that a lot of that will go to consumers who already have a meter but don't understand where the water's going. You know, typically a consumer will get a bill every 6 months on a metered account to say this is how much water you've used. It's very, very hard to equate that 6 monthly consumption to, oh, it was this device or it was this person that used all that water. What smart metering would do would be allow those consumers to identify where the water use is occurring and how much is occurring, and then modify their bill and their actions accordingly. It also means that those who are thinking about going onto a meter, but may be concerned about, oh, what if I have a large leak and I get a great big bill or something like that? Because with a smart water meter, you'd be able to give near real-time information about water use, we would be able to identify leaks and burst pipes a lot quicker and keep the consumer informed. So it would also mitigate the risk for consumers going over onto a meter as well.
Tell me how much granularity you get in the feedback. So you say people will be able to work out, you know, which device in the house used the water at what time. How do they do that? Do you get immediate feedback and you say, okay, well, I know little Johnny was showering at 11 o'clock in the morning. How's that going to work?
So we're never going to get down to the kind of energy meter of 10-second data. And the reason for that is because we don't have a power source there apart from a battery. So part of the proof of concept is literally playing that off against one another to understand data granularity and battery life. In the UK, our meters tend to last in the ground for about 12 to 15 years. So a whole part of this POC is to go, okay, if I want 15 years as a battery life, how much data granularity can I give? And that's what we're playing around to understand. Now, the golden one for us would be to get down to 15-minute data. That would match over very neatly with how we measure data going into our networks. That's certainly something we'd like to aim for. Personally, I'd be very happy with sub-hourly data. It would certainly mean that a consumer could then say, okay, in the last hour, I know that you've had a shower, or we've run the washing machine, or we've used the dishwasher, and allow them far better understanding of what's going on.
So how do you communicate that? Do you send them an email which says? It
will be omni-channel, and I know that's this kind of word, isn't it? It'll happen in all sorts of different ways, but we do recognise from our consumers that they require different levels. And so certainly we're actually working at the moment on apps that would allow them to see it on their phone. And that would allow comparison. So you could say, okay, we'll compare you with your peer group and with your neighbours. You won't see their data, but anonymised data, and you'll be able to understand, in my road or in my area, am I average or am I quite high in terms of my usage? So all of the kind of gamification things that can come through from that. But actually, we know that some consumers only really want to know if something's changed. All they want is, have I got a burst or am I going to get a huge, great bill? And for those ones, absolutely, we can use text messaging and things like that. And I'm reasonably certain there's certain consumers who will actually say, do you know what, if there's something going on with my property, could you send me an email or a letter? And we'll do that as well.
Okay, so you'll give them the choice to have different granularities.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's part of the trial. They're going to work
Absolutely.
out what proportion of people ask for the X and what.
Yes, and that's trying to understand that side as well, how people want this communication and the frequency of communication that goes with it as well.
I imagine the people that are already being metered are the most keen to learn this data. Would that be the case?
I think those are going to be the key ones, and also it's the ones with the highest discretionary use. You want to find the consumers where they can make a big difference in terms of how they're using water. That's why we're looking at sprinkler users and people like that, because they, by the simple measure of turning off their sprinkler an hour earlier or not running it during peak electric times, they can make a big difference. Looking at non-household properties as well and how we can help them to save water in their businesses and things like that. So it's trying to find where you get the most benefit. And all of the models we're looking at the moment are on the basis that people opt to have a meter, and because they feel that they can actually get benefit from doing that, rather than us coming along and saying, you must provide this.
So they think that we can make sure our water consumption is lower than the average, or lower than it would have been if we hadn't got the meter. We wouldn't be charged as much as we were before. And therefore, this is a way for you to let them prove that out to themselves.
Yes, absolutely. And identify those, those fittings and those things that do use a lot of water, because at the moment consumers are pretty much blind on which things are actually using most of the water. What makes up that water bill? It's interesting when you ask people to actually work out how much water they use, they consistently underestimate it by a very large magnitude, because they don't realise which devices in their house are used on what frequency and how much water it uses each time.
Now, you've chosen the lower option for the POC. How impressed have you been with that? I mean, the great thing about it is, of course, it's that long battery life and the fact that it's presumably quite low cost to deploy.
Exactly that. And we're looking, within the water industry, so this is not just within my own company, but within the water industry, there are the potential for millions of meters to go in. And therefore, cost is a significant part of that in terms of your communication. At the moment we're looking at LoRa. We're absolutely looking at other networks as well out there, but we're playing around with LoRa at the moment. And part of that as well is availability. Being able to get hold of devices that are operating on that network is a key bit of this as well. And we're certainly seeing from the supply chain that they are looking at LoRa, and we're seeing devices being built off the shelf already available as meters, as loggers that work on LoRa. So part of it is the fact that there is already devices out there that work, and there's the expertise in that. I think the other side as well, you've rightly picked up on, is the battery life. That's one of the things that that kind of has pushed us slightly down the LoRa path, is this desire to have as long a battery life as we possibly can. And I guess, I was asked by one of our directors when we were looking at the various solutions, and he said, are we in a, VHS Betamax world here? Is the danger that we're going to choose the wrong protocol at this stage? And my answer to him at that time was, I feel this is far more Apple and Android. I think looking at the various solutions that we're seeing coming through at the moment, there's sufficient differentiation between what they're offering that I can see the different ecosystems coexisting, simply because LoRa will solve one set of problems, NB-IoT will solve another, Sigfox will solve other ones, and you'll pick the solution that works best for the particular application you're trying to get data back from.
And the key thing is, within those 15-year timeframes, you're going to have different iterations of technology anyway. So the key will be at the gateway, where you can absorb the different protocols and kind of amalgamate them into one stream of data.
Absolutely. And it's not just smart metering data that we're looking at, we're looking at gathering a lot of other data as well.
Exactly. Well, look, that's great. Thank you very much for that. That's really interesting.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.